Welcome to Modern Home Masterminds with beSpoke Brokers. I'm Shauna Glazier, designated broker and owner.
And I'm Brittany Williamson, associate broker. Shauna and I are beSpoke Real Estate, but we are also your guides to modern luxury across the entire state of Arizona.
Each week, we chat with masterminds shaping the modern spaces. Do you want to get a behind-the-scenes look at your design build team's processes? Well, open communication and teamwork will lead you to successful projects.
From architects to builders, designers, and more, let's explore the art of modern living together.
All right. Have you ever walked into a beautiful home and wondered what you can't see? The engineering, materials, and building science that make it comfortable and durable for decades. Today's guest, Matt Lamb of Collective Construction, specializes in exactly that.
That's right. Matt is the founder of Collective Construction, a Phoenix-based custom home builder focused on high-performance homes designed specifically for the desert climate. With more than 25 years in construction, he's known for combining craftsmanship with advanced building science.
All right. Welcome, Matt.
Very good.
Yeah.
Good to
Thank
have you
you.
on. All right. You've been in construction for a long time. What are the biggest changes you've seen in how high-end homes are designed and built?
Good question. I don't know that I'm the authority for design evolution here in the Valley, but I can say that from our experience in building homes out here, I first started off with the Santa Fe style, Adobe looking homes where everything was very chunky and big and where we had arches over everything, arched doors, vigas that stuck out, but unfortunately would rot after a couple of years because homeowners didn't know how to maintain them and or didn't want to.
We see a lot of that
Yeah.
on inspections.
Yeah, and then that seemed to morph into sort of the Tuscan style, where every square inch was covered with stone or tile or granite, and a lot more pop outs and bay windows, and it just seemed to be a lot more of lipstick that seemed to grow on surfaces. And fortunately for me, I've been able to get involved with some nice architects who focus on a different philosophy of style, and I would probably contribute that to be more contemporary design or some modern. And they pose a lot of challenges because a lot of times they're hillside or just the way they're built, they're kind of a philosophy of less is more. And I've seen where it seems like we're building more for outdoor environments as well. So it's kind of the idea that more than just the interior cooled space is your living environment. We live in our garage when we're working on the garage, on the car. We're out playing volleyball in the back, or throwing the ball back and forth with our kids. So the living environment seems to have grown. And fortunately, I think the contemporary design sort of lends to a lot more enjoyable outdoor, where we have a lot of overhangs, a lot of big patios. I think that is kind of what seems to be much more popular in what I work with. But that's about it.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that too. So we know that homes can look really good, but maybe not be functional or comfortable. And that's something that we talked about kind of in our pre-show call with you is
Yes.
how do you account for those things? Like, because we see a lot, especially in the modern world, a lot of steel and glass, which can be very hot in the summer.
Yeah.
So what do you do to help mitigate some of that?
Great question. I think here in the Valley, we're sort of the standard of how things are built. I think all hinge off of production homes, which I used to work with. And being in production, I learned how to do things quickly, but you have to build things so quickly, you have to overlook a lot of scars that end up getting passed on to the homeowner. So it's been sort of my mission in the last 10 years to really evolve to having a longer lasting, more comfortable home. And a lot of that has to do with the assembly and how things are done. And so some of the challenges with contemporary design, I feel like, are, we have walls of glass, and those are probably the weakest links to allowing the outdoor environment to migrate in. And how we just assemble those seem to be not paid as much attention to how we control the environment around, because I feel like a home is your fortress, and that's where we need to have good, clean air. We don't want it comfortable, because I think more so than looks, the experience of making a comfortable home has to look good, but it also needs to be quiet. Last thing we want are roaches crawling across the floor before Thanksgiving dinner when you have your family over. So we want to, control the air and the moisture coming into the home. So I think there's a lot of more detail that needs to be spent on how we are assembling these. And a lot of it's just common knowledge, common sense, I should say. And instead of just trying to get it done quickly. And so just taking your time to get it done correctly, maybe using a few more products to seal the air from coming in, which we haven't done in production. So a lot of times, the framers that are doing some of these higher end homes are coming off, they're also building, production homes. And so because of that, there's a lot of the habits of poor building practices that bleed into some of these higher end homes. And it seems to be that the cost of the trades that are building this are driven by the price, by how quickly you can get it done. And so price seems to be a driver for many of the homes that are being built. And I feel like if we can educate our clients on what value really is in a home, I think it goes more than just the dollar that it costs to make it happen. Sometimes it results in time too.
Definitely. I think people would be willing to pay a couple dollars more to know that they're getting a quality product that's not going to leak, that's not going to be, a million degrees in the summer.
Yeah.
And some of these, we see a lot of these homes where the owner themselves is like, oh, I was the GC when I asked them who their design build team was. And they might have brought in an architect, but then they just did the contracting and they miss things that you're talking about, bringing in a qualified contractor. So,
Yeah.
Great answer. All right. Your projects emphasize craftsmanship and individuality. How do you balance your clients or like an architect's creative vision with what actually works from a construction standpoint?
Well, that really starts from the beginning. And that's where I think the collaboration between the architect, the designer, the homeowner, and the builder start from day one. Once you have a grand design, then it's about how does it get put together. And so I think the builder's job is really to identify what the materials are going in and then identifying the logistics of how they get placed. So what's sometimes overlooked, I know it seems pretty logical, but sometimes you got to put the pool in before you put in, the foundation of the house. Otherwise you won't have access, or it becomes very expensive to build. So one of the things that we like to do is sort of help the client and the architect understand, well, if we do this, this is going to be the consequence of that. And so what can we do as a alternate for that situation? So depending on what it is, but I try not to influence the design at all, but sometimes the additional work that has to go into it might have some changes. Or
Like waterproofing?
Like
I'm
waterproofing,
sure that's a big
yeah,
thing, right? You
yeah.
probably change a lot of design just based on what's going to be effective for the home.
Sure. Well, a lot of it will impact more the design than it will the assembly. Where, for instance, on a house sitting on top of a foundation, we like to make sure that the water's going to drain off of the house, and so and that starts from the very top. A roof overhang is probably the best thing you can have. Deep recessed windows also help with keeping water, rain, those few days of the year that it happens off of there. But it also creates shade. So sometimes just acknowledging that will help the homeowner, maybe push towards wanting some of those natural resistance to the sun and rain, influence the architect to maybe change how that gets done.
Yeah, maybe add in a few of those features.
Yeah.
Just
Other than that, for me, it's more of I might work with the architect on the details. And, okay, well, let's let's blow out the foundation another 2 inches so that our, stucco is flush with the retaining wall, type of thing. So I don't know if that's really need to be said, but
No, it's interesting. I mean, it's small stuff like that.
It is. It sounds like you're kind of the guy that finds the problems before they happen. And so that you can head those off, as many as you can anyway. I'm sure throughout the construction process, you're always running into things.
Yeah.
But
So, there's so many things that can be done that are easy. It's just a matter of maybe adding a little bit more detail to it, or just being there on site. I think is probably one of the bigger things, so that you're there to answer the questions when that comes up, or being able to oversee how something is getting assembled and making sure it's getting done correctly. There's some things that we do a little bit differently, where we spend a little more. We like to caulk the walls, or wood, typically on top of concrete. We like to caulk that instead of just using regular sill sealer, which is a foam layer. And so that prevents air and bugs from getting underneath and through the house. It also eliminates air from passing in and out.
Why isn't that a standard practice for everyone?
Great question, because it's I think it will happen in sometime in the future, but a lot of the things that I sort of do is I follow what happens up north or back east. Here in Arizona, we live in climate zone 2B, which is very similar in some ways to Florida, which is 2A. And but we don't have the rain or the moisture, so that's why we're 2B. But we also have the greatest living environment for building homes, because we don't have a lot of the conditions that you'll find throughout the United States, where we don't have seismic, we don't have frost, we don't have snow loads, we don't have the rain, we don't have
Hurricanes.
or earthquakes. And so our engineering and building standards are at the minimum. So it's a very low bar that we're set, and that's why production, and we have vast amounts of land to purchase, and those sort of set the base of what our standard is for building practice here. And that's unfortunate. And so one of the things that I like to look at is what happens up north and how do we apply that to here? Because a lot of what they're already doing, in other parts of the country, which has even started back east in Europe, there's a lot of building practice that allows a home to last longer. So comfort is one of the results that we get out of it. But, with a few practices and a few different things that we can do that aren't necessarily always expensive, you can go really expensive on building a home, not just on details, but on finishes. But you can gain, halfway there just on building it correctly to begin with. So
it sounds like you're kind of paying attention to the details that nobody else is noticing right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great for our audience to know that there are builders like you that are out there that are kind of saying, this is the minimum, I want to go a step beyond that. I'm going to go a little above
Well,
and
it's
beyond.
simple things too. It's like, we shear the outside walls, as the house is framed, it usually gets, OSB applied to it.
For our listeners, OSB
is oriented stranded board.
Okay.
So it's not plywood. So I think we all know what plywood, which is, but OSB is an engineered product. It is designed for vertical surfaces, and it is a structural component, and it's extremely strong, and in many cases better than plywood, depending on its use. However, it is not designed to get, when a plumber wants to put a hole through the wall, it is not designed to use a hammer and blow a hole through it. And so it's simple things like that, making sure that the trades know how to drill a hole through, OSB, that we're not creating additional air holes or creating a structural lack of integrity because of using his hammer on trying to get that hole in.
Sounds like then that comes down to construction management, which I think leads into here.
Absolutely.
I was just wondering how, when you meet clients for the first time, kind of how that process goes, and how do you decide if they're a good fit?
Great question. That took me a long time to figure out, and I'm still working through that. It's one of those things where I have learned that relationship is more important than just about anything, and trust is probably the ultimate word. I think is the most valuable part of the relationship, and because it is a long-term process.
It is.
So as a contractor comes in, we may not always be the first person in, but we're the last person out. And so, there's a huge amount of liability on the contractor that carries through. I'm sure architects would probably argue that as well. But, if you think about it, there is face-to-face interaction that happens throughout the entire process. And so we do a pre-construction agreement from the very beginning. And so it's a service that we provide, and that's where we will put together the scope of work of a project once we understand what the design is, and then put a number to it, a cost figure for that material and the labor to get applied to that. And then what we'll do is we'll take that and then develop a schedule, and a lot of times it's in the form of a Gantt chart to show what happens from the very beginning all the way through the end, and then also show the contingencies of what needs to happen before the next. And so with that service, we develop, it takes a lot of time to do that. We also have to identify from the designer, and in many ways the homeowner, what the finishes are. And how is that supposed to look? So that's a job in itself, and that's why we like to have a designer on the team as well. And so maintaining what the cost is, which seems to be where most of the friction happens in pre-construction, is trying to come to a balance of what they are willing to pay for versus the values that they feel like they're getting. And so as a result, it takes an extreme amount of communication that happens through that. And for me, I feel like there is the number one thing that has to happen is good communication. And so what we do as a result of that is we also use construction management software, which allows this communication to happen efficiently. Ongoing, yeah. So our construction management software, which we use JobTread, I don't know if that's could be said here, but I believe is probably some of the best platform that allows contractors to not only identify what the scope of work is, estimate what the cost is going to be, and then transfer it into what that budget is going to be that we're going to build against. And then we're able to invoice and receive payments through our software. But at the same time, what's really neat about it is our superintendents that are out there in the field, they can take pictures of progress that happens throughout. And then we can identify those challenges that we come across and then how we're going to solve them. And sometimes that solving the challenge comes through the form of a message or a note, which we can leave on this platform. And we can kind of like pull back the curtain a little bit to reveal to our clients, what's actually happening. But not only that, but it's nice for them because they can see what's happening on a daily basis. They can look at the schedule and see what's happening tomorrow.
I bet they love
What
that.
I was going to say, this platform sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so it's really nice. They could see what their invoices is, how much money they've spent, what the next, draw schedule.
And you use this on all your projects.
On every project. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. It all kind of started when I feel like it's sort of a marketing thing because I want the homeowner to know that they can trust not only what I'm saying, but we have the evidence to show them on paper. And so many of our custom projects are cost plus. And so our plus is either a percentage or a fixed price of what the construction materials are. But what that does is it also reveals to them, exactly what our numbers are and what they can look forward to on the overall build. And so, if they if they want to, they can look into that. Many of our clients don't really get too much into that. They're more into, being able to sit on the beach of Tahiti and sipping Mai Tais, showing their friends, what's going on at the house and what the looks are.
But
And
also
so,
it makes it easier for you that if they are doing all these upgrades along the way, that they can log in and see, oh, this is why we're not on
Absolutely.
track, opposed to saying
Right.
he's just charging what he didn't.
right.
No, that's a great platform.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, can we walk through some of your projects? We brought a couple. We have
Sure.
some slides here.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, first one I think is Kimbro. This is a beautiful project. What are we looking
Yeah,
at
this
here?
home was designed by Spry Architecture, and it is very similar to another project that we built. This is up in, I would say, East Scottsdale, on your way up to Fountain Hills. And it has beautiful views, kind of on the side of a hill. that overlooks the entire Southeast Valley. This one, has a lot of overhangs, and we were able to do a lot of things on this home that probably most homes do not do, but the homeowner was also very conscious of building science and having a comfortable, quiet home.
Is this in Scottsdale Mountain?
Yes. No.
It's farther east.
136th Street in Shea,
You're right by the Mayo.
right behind
Yeah.
Mayo. Yes.
Yeah, close to Scottsdale Mountain.
Yes. It is a gated community. Yes.
So you can see from the front door out the back door to that mountain behind
Yes.
it. And it looks
Yes.
from the shadow, it looks like you're looking at mountains in front of you too.
You are. This home has I want to say 270-degree views. The neighbor immediately to the south of them is the only piece in the way. Otherwise, they have great views. This home is made with ICF, which is insulated concrete forms. And so they're 12-inch thick walls, plus we furred them out and then insulated that to allow all the plumbing to go through on many of this. So they're very thick walls. This has a lot of, there's I think 4 or 5 different pocket doors on this one. And so these are all 10-foot high. And this just allows the living environment to be part of the inside all the way to the outside.
That fireplace is so sleek. Is that like a plaster or Roman clay, or what do we have up
So it's a Venetian plaster
Okay.
fireplace. That's one of those TVs that shows pictures.
Oh, yeah, that looks like art.
Yeah. And then the fireplace itself is used butane to create the flame. And so on this one, there's no fireplace up top. There's no
Chimney.
chimney. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to eliminate that. There were plenty of challenges on this thin roof to get air conditioning through there. You'll see the linear vents up on the ceiling there.
This home just feels so warm
Yeah,
It
and
is.
welcoming.
it's gorgeous. But very clean, very sleek.
Yeah.
So the client's living in here now?
This is their second home. They're up in Seattle.
Okay.
So they're here during the winter times.
It's great.
That's beautiful. So this is one of those rooms that I would imagine would be hot because of all the glass.
Yes. So there are pocket shades up there that
Oh, yeah, you can
are
see those.
automatic. They come down and then some of the things that we did on this is all Western windows. They do have a pretty good R value on those, but the things that we also did on this, on the corners of where the glazing comes together, we did a few techniques on that to help eliminate heat transfer. Because they're steel columns, that heat would just transfer through. So what we did is they're basically 2 pieces of steel that are cut so that it looks like it's one, but it's really basically 2. And so it's little things like that, just kind of thinking things through so that when you're touching it, you're not touching the heat.
Yeah.
Because like now, windows by code have to be thermally broken. And so basically the metal that's on the outside has to be thermally separated from the inside. So that way the heat that's outside or up north, the cold outside does not transfer through on the inside. And so we did the same sort of practice on just a column that holds up part of the roof there.
It's gorgeous. I like the texture in this bathroom.
The 3D tile.
Very smooth. All right, this is another one. We have James Residence.
Correct. This is also by Spry Architecture. And the similarities in the family room here are pretty close to the Kimbro project that you just saw. Outside of that, there's a lot of different things that we did on this home. This is probably one of my favorites because of all the features on this.
Not because of Pool of the World Award here, the Pebble Tech Pool of the World Award.
Yeah.
This pool is incredible.
Yeah, and
This
congratulations
pool-
on that award.
So the homeowner is admittedly a water snob, and he was really particular about what water not only looks like, but sounds like and feels like. So we went to great lengths on the design of this pool and the sound and what it looks like. And
Is it built into that boulder?
it looks like
previous
it.
picture?
So the pool actually ends where you could see the water features there. There's a retaining wall that's behind it.
Okay.
And so actually the retaining wall is the pool, but we added a second wall to make it look like it was.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the other picture showed it as better, but you could see that's a natural boulder that's there, and those walls just die into it.
Yeah.
We did not want the rock exposed to the inside of the pool for
Yes.
potential issues later.
Many issues, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful project.
Yeah. They have great views as well.
This bedroom, to me, I thought was fantastic. It has its own private patio there with its own fireplace, and with the doors rolled back, it just exposes the inside to the outside.
This is that indoor-outdoor living that you were
Yes,
talking about.
very
for
much
sure.
so. Mhm.
Extending the inside to the out.
Yeah.
Oh, Kachina. Before and after, what's going on?
Yeah. So this is a project near Indian School and 60th Street, and
Oh,
it was
remodel, right? Did
it was
this
a
come
remodel
down?
home.
Okay.
Yes, and what we ended up doing was we took a tractor through the middle of the house right here and took out the left. We took the middle part out and basically raised the roof, and you could see it's got at an angle here, and it created just a big, wide open space. This is all the architect's design. The challenges were things like that big door. How do we get the roof load to be carried on that beam and still
That's
have
a
glass
wide
go all over the
space.
ceiling? Yeah.
I just saw the goodnight stay on the counter.
Yeah.
It's a cool think.
Yeah, this home, I think, really would have been best as a, what do you call I'm drawing a blank on you just rent the house.
STR.
Yeah.
Like a short-term rental.
Short-term rental.
Vacation
yeah.
rental.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I'm telling you. I think that's what it probably is right now.
probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
Ba-
it looks like with
yeah.
the swan. That swan is in every one of their photos.
For a particular management
Yep.
company, yeah.
Yep.
So then this one, I love this little bungalow. This is Coronado. All right, what can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, this home is in the Coronado Historic District, downtown Phoenix. And this was a home that we completely gutted from the inside. And the architect decided to make this sort of a yin and yang with old and new. So the old part of the house, we exposed a lot of the brick from the inside and removed all the plaster that was there before. And then we added a lot of trim to kind of be a little historic that you see there.
Well, and you can't really do much from the front, right? Correct?
No,
In Coronado,
you
you have to
cannot.
be careful with what
Correct.
you do.
Yeah. Now the landscape I don't know about, but as far as the house is concerned, we replaced everything with the original design, so we didn't influence that at all. But here we added. I mean, everything you see here, other than the brick, has been replaced. This is
Very
the
cute.
fireplace on the other side. It's actually an add-on gas unit to this, and those are all built-in shelves. This really turned out neat because it used to be, back in the old days, every room had a function. And so a kitchen was its own room, the dining room was its own room, the family was its own room. So you had all these interior walls. And now with entertaining, it's hard to do that. So removing the walls, opening it all up, we had to replace all of the joists that carry the roof, just because we're looking at, over 100-year-old structure here. And so there were a lot of improvements done to this.
Did you add a lot of square footage?
We doubled the square footage by adding this master bedroom on.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then we also added that building in the background. That's the old horse carriage from way back in the early 1900s.
Wow.
And so we converted it and turned it into a spare guest bedroom.
That's neat.
Yeah,
Okay.
we added the the overhang roof there.
Is that ground concrete or terrazzo? What kind of flooring?
Yeah, that's exposed concrete. And that was part of the contemporary design look that the homeowner wanted.
Did you say this was reminding you a little bit like an old albedo? Did you say that on the call or no?
A little bit, yeah.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
We've done a couple albedo
Some of the
homes.
some of the Paradise Gardens homes. You
Yeah.
know, like the back of it, obviously, not the front.
This is a cool shot.
This one was fun because we got to put the pool right up against the house. And so you could see, put that pool tile all the way up, and it just kind of created a neat look.
Yeah.
What to, just a little bit of
Gives
splash
me a
of
little
color.
Palm Springs vibes to the house.
Yeah, yeah. So you can see there the old house on that picture previous, where you kind of walk through a hallway of glass right there, the transition from the old into the new. And so you could tell that this is, it's intentional to look different, but there is a defining line that created that space.
I've seen a couple of these style homes done in Coronado. I've toured a few of them that have the old melded with the new.
Yeah.
And like this one, it's done very, very well. I'm impressed with this one.
Thank
I've
you.
seen some that are not quite as good, but then there are some that are really cool.
Just
Yeah.
even the hardscape and the
Yeah.
steel detailing is obviously great space back here.
Yeah.
Maybe once the grass comes in a little bit more,
Yeah.
Yeah.
get some more
Right.
photography.
We completed this one back in 2016 or 17.
Oh, wow.
So we were kind of early in on the Coronado modifications out there.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing those with
Yeah.
us. We like to do a little rapid fire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah? You want to answer some questions for
Sure.
us? Okay. New build or major renovation?
New build.
Okay.
One thing homeowners always underestimate about building a custom home, other than the price.
I think the most common thing is the expense.
Yeah.
Yeah, people underestimate the cost to build a good home. Yeah, I think many of us are looking at all the finishes, and people think quality is a name brand. You know, they think, oh, this is quality. Like I got Sub-Zero fridge and Viking range, and so they look at the red knobs and think, oh, this is quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think for me as the builder, I geek out on structure, and so to me, a good house is one that's quiet, it's airtight.
Yeah. No, I love that analogy because it isn't the appliances. It's like go open the front door, go open the door,
Yeah.
like feel the cabinets, feel the
Yes.
quality of the home.
Correct.
So,
Well, and you can tell a difference because we go through homes all the time, and especially homes that have been flipped.
Yeah.
You can tell
Oh,
a
yeah.
difference.
and
Definitely.
luxury in Paradise
Yes.
Valley, and you can just tell where the money was spent.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times, the things that we sort of overlook that you don't realize until you're either reading in the corner of a room and you love that space because of the views you get or just the serenity of whatever, but it's a hot spot, and you don't get the cooling, so you end up moving in a second best place. But to me, air conditioning is, I think, overlooked a lot because you hear it. It's part of everything. Windows are part of your air conditioning. And so the whole design of all of that really has a lot to do with comfort, but it all starts with the foundation.
Yeah.
And so there's so many things to kind of geek out on when it comes to design and how that relates to comfort.
Yep. Okay, favorite way to spend a weekend in Arizona?
For me, I love to go camping with my wife. We have a van, and pull the bikes out of the van and do some downhill.
How fun.
Nice.
Love it.
I would enjoy that too. Biggest construction fail you've seen? Has there been a big problem that you've walked into?
I'm glad you said seen and not experienced.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't have to be yours. It could be you fixing somebody else's.
I have so many battle wounds, a lot of failures, but I like to fail forward. So, I think just the structure of a home, the failures of not shearing the house. In production you see Tyvek exposed, but it's underneath the Tyvek is the studs of the house, and so they're putting stucco right over 2x. And to me, that's like such a great opportunity that's missed. Yeah.
Yeah. What is your favorite architectural style to build?
Contemporary,
Contemporary?
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Modern, contemporary.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll build anything, but I personally like the challenges that contemporary brings because it seems like you're always dealing with something, you're trying to push the limits. That cantilevered roof, the freestanding, cabinets. There's so many different elements to, frameless doors, they go all the way to the ceiling.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Modern Home Mastermind podcast. It's
Yeah.
perfect. I feel like I should plug one more in there. Who's your favorite plumber?
Oh, Pineapple Plumbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
love it.
We're a fan. Yeah.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us on our show. We are going to list all of your contact information in our show notes, but if you wouldn't mind telling our listeners the best place to follow you or to find you.
Well, we are on Facebook and Instagram. CollectiveConstruction.com is our website.
Perfect.
I
I bet you have your social media linked there too.
Yes, we do.
Your website is great, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It really is. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for today's episode of Modern Home Mastermind. If you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe, like, and rate.
Thanks to our guest for sharing his insights and to you for learning about everything modern with us.
And if you're ready to take the next step in your real estate journey, please reach out to us at beSpoke Real Estate. And until next time, keep living, loving everything modern.